get to continue the story of Neil Gaiman and the Hugsperience. We fast forward almost an entire year, and a good friend of mine, Beth, emails me one day and she's like, have you seen that Neil Gaiman is doing this storytelling tour with 5 or 6 other people, and they are coming to my city? Would you like to come to my city and go see it with me? And I was like, let me think about this. Yes, I would like that very, very much. And I find out that it is not going to be a signing. So I wasn't going to have a chance to interact with Neil this time, but that was okay. But I thought that I should tell the Twitter that I was just gonna go and sit in the audience and have a show. I wasn't gonna get another hug. I wasn't gonna do anything like that. So I went on Twitter and I said something like, there's no signing at this tour, so no hugs this time, but still very excited to see Neil Gaiman. I'm on the road the next morning and I get a series of text messages from a couple different people, and so being a responsible adult, I pull off to a gas station and I check my text, and it was like, Neil Gaiman wants to hug you. And then I was like, I'm pretty sure that I want to hug Neil Gaiman. I'm not totally sure that that's a requited feeling. And so I just decided to go on Twitter just to check, and I get on the Twitter and there's a message from him, and it was basically like, tell me when you get here and we'll have you come backstage and get a hug. And I was like, oh, it's gonna happen, but I didn't want to get my hopes up, because I know that things happen and it doesn't, whatever, but the sentiment, a year ago I stood in line for 2 hours just to get a hug, and now I'm being invited to come have a hug, and this seemed like the best progression ever. So I go, and I'm still bracing myself every few moments for the chance that this probably will not happen. And sure enough, I get there and I tweet about it, and then I go and I wait, and there's no tweets or anything like that. We get our seat. My friends are like, so have you heard from him? And Twitter, of course, because I told Twitter, this is what I do apparently, and Twitter's like, have you had a hug yet? And the curtain time happens, and I'm like, oh, no hug, you guys, but it's okay. It was just a really nice sentiment. It was a really nice sentiment. It's really cool that he offered. And then at end of the intermission, there's finally a tweet, and it was like, have to sign books. Go find one of the booksellers after the show, and they'll take you back. And so I was like, there's still a chance this is going to happen, but I'm still bracing myself. It's probably not going to happen, because it's just the safest way to be in life. So I go up to the booksellers after the show lets out, and I show them, I didn't know what to do, because they probably thought I was crazy. And so I showed them my Twitter stream, and I was like, Neil Gaiman wants to hug me. And they looked at me like I had lost my mind. And I was like, no, see, that's his Twitter, and that's my Twitter, and his Twitter is talking to my Twitter, and you're supposed to let me go say hi. And so they lead me backstage, and I have a friend with me because I'm freaking out at this point, of course, because I'm like, oh. So we get backstage, and in true most amazing moment ever fashion, there's a hallway and there's a green room, and there's a lot of important people around, people from the show. And I walk down the hallway toward the green room, and he's standing in the green room, and he turns towards me, and he just does this. I mean, I had a moment, because then I didn't even have to be reintroduced. He saw me and just put his arms out, and I was like, this might be the best moment of my entire life. And so I walked into his arms, and we had a very delightful hug, and then we had a few more hugs so that we could take pictures, and then it was overwhelming, because he actually he knew who I was. It's one thing, I had never expected him to put together that fan me and writer me were the same person. I mean, you interact with so many people, I was not gonna expect that, but he knew that I was writer me. It was really exciting, because I was look, over the course of 1 year, we've gone from standing in line to being invited backstage to have a hug and get to talk for a couple minutes with your hero is just, and they were such good hugs. You guys, you might think that because the first hugs were the first hugs, that I exaggerated that in my mind, but no. The second hug, it was so much better. It was so much better because I probably wasn't just standing there in absolute shock the first time. I was still shocked, but I had the sense to hug back this time. I have a joke with my agent, because when I went to World Fantasy Con the first time, I brought this little narwhal plushie, and I was gonna give it to him, and then my agent was like, don't, because that's creepy. And then I didn't, and then I didn't give it to him the second time. So now I'm like, if there's a third occasion for a third hug, I will give Neil Gaiman the neilwhal. So